Let's freaking go. BJ OJULARI, according to only one report entering the NFL draft. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the story of all stories of the past hour. Caleb Williams is your Heisman Trophy winner. So we're going to get to all of that tonight. As you can see, I was waiting to see what the final vote tally looked like, and you are looking at it now. Hendon Hooker was fifth, but he did win the fan vote, and quite honestly, he probably would have been my pick for the Heisman Trophy. Max Duggan got second place, CJ Stroud got third, and Stetson Staquavius Bennett got fourth. Caleb Williams says he could see one comfortably, as most Heisman trophies tend to be. It's normally a pretty comfortable win for whoever actually wins. And as you can see, Caleb Williams very comfortably won. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what the actual voting map looks like. There were a lot of people that I believe got Heisman votes this year, including, one of my all-time favorites, Jacob Hester, I believe got a Heisman vote. Love me some Jacob Hester. And obviously, there was a lot of different people you could have chose this year. Now, on my SEC channel, I included a few things that I do not like about the Heisman Trophy, and we'll get into that today. But, of course, nothing really too big that is broken in the past week, or I say week, in the last couple of days here as far as LSU is concerned, other than Cam Wire hitting the transfer portal. But he was so far out of the rotation, he didn't really even play since he started the game versus Florida State. And it's been a very interesting last 48 hours for LSU football, in that we have not had any breaking news. So I know it's a little bit different. Normally on Saturdays, we are doing a post-game live stream, or we're doing, pregame, halftime, post-game. Now we are kind of in off-season mode, and it kind of stinks, right? We have, obviously the bowl game, but, I don't know if anything's going to change, but we're still going to do Saturday night live streams. Might move some to Sunday, but we will see what happens. We say hi to Esteban. We say hi to Joshua. We say hi to Pegasus, Simper, LA Mom, Joshua, the first super chatter of the evening. Big thank you, my man. I really appreciate you and your son supporting the channel. For what Carter was saying, Caleb doesn't seem to have much class. I will get into what I have to say about that, because I do love me some Caleb Williams. I do love watching him play. I do think he's going to be a very special NFL quarterback. The kid is joining the PHL T-shirt club. Really excited about that. Michael Ray says the stats award. Oh, yeah, it kind of is that. So here's what I'll say about the Heisman Trophy, okay? Esteban, good to see you, LA Mom, everybody. The one thing I don't like about the Heisman Trophy is I like when I am voting or sharing my thoughts on just anything, I like clarity, okay? And if you go look at the Heisman Trophy Trust mission statement, it's actually not clear as to what criteria actually goes into voting for the Heisman Trophy winner. And I actually do have a screenshot of the Heisman Trophy Trust mission statement. Let me see if I could pull it up here. I believe this is it. And I included it in my Power Hour SEC video. And what I want you to do is take a look at this, okay? The Heisman Trophy Trust mission is to grow the legacy and preserve the integrity of the Heisman Trophy Memorial Trophy, which is annually awarded to the outstanding college football player in the United States whose performance epitomizes great ability combined with diligence, perseverance, and hard work. So notice the trophy mission statement here does not say that the Heisman Trophy goes to the most outstanding player or the most valuable player. It just goes to an outstanding player, and you want that player to have class, essentially, right? Integrity, right? Legacy. You have these big fancy words mixed in there. And I just have a tough time voting for someone that wrote F word Utah on his fingernails. Now, I am not pearl clutching over that. I actually think it's kind of cool. I like it when sports features players that do things like that. It does add a little extra juice to the sport. But if you are voting for a trophy and the trophy says the word integrity, I don't know anything on field you can do more degrading to an opponent than writing on your body F you, right? Like he could have spat on the opposing team, and I'm not sure if it would be as bad as doing just that. So, if integrity matters, well, I don't know. I don't know. But also, it says here diligence, perseverance, and hard work. Well, if we want to talk about diligence and perseverance, wouldn't that actually be Hendon Hooker? Wouldn't that actually be Stetson Bennett? Or wouldn't that actually be Max Duggan? All three of these guys weren't initially the starter at their current jobs. All three of these guys weren't the most highly rated recruits. You can make a case that all three of them had to overcome way more than the other two finalists here, who were both top 100 recruits surrounded by, supreme five-star talent. And obviously, all three of the other quarterbacks have weapons that will get selected in the first round of the NFL draft as well. But, I will say, if we're going to get into, some of these intangible things, then include that in your voting process, or at least let the people know that when you are voting for this award, that's part of the criteria, right? Baker shouldn't have got it either then. So, yes, planting the flag on Ohio State's midfield. And obviously, there were some other things mixed in there as well. I'm not saying I don't like it. In fact, I kind of do like it. I kind of like the fact that Caleb Williams did this very arrogant thing, writing F Utah on your fingernails. Little unique, if you will. I'm fine with it. You do whatever you want. I'm just saying, if you're saying integrity and all those different words, then that's not integrity, right? Last I checked, Hendon Hooker, Stetson Bennett, Max Duggan, and C.J. Stroud never did anything quite like that. I also did not understand why C.J. Stroud was a Heisman finalist. That one I just did not get. No real big-time moments. Yes, he was really good. Yes, his QBR was in the top 10 or top 5 even. Yes, he didn't have his arguably best receiver this entire year. I just think C.J. Stroud was kind of meh. I don't know how you guys felt about that. Do I have anti-Big Ten bias there? Maybe. But I just didn't get the C.J. Stroud thing. I just didn't. I think the person that got shafted the most was Hendon Hooker. Does he play in an offense that a lot of quarterbacks are going to put up big numbers? Yes. Will we see Josh Heupel quarterbacks eventually win Heismans? Yes. Did he have, a ridiculous amount of offensive talent surrounding him? Yes. But to carry Tennessee back into relevance the way that C.J. Stroud did this year, and to penalize this young man just because he got hurt towards the end of the year, to me is hogwash, right? And I think that wasn't fair to him. And I think if he didn't get hurt and he finished out the year and had one more blowout victory versus Vanderbilt, he would have been in New York City. But something else that's very important about the Heisman Trophy is when you play your big games, right? We are a very seasonal society. We are a very, we like things to be at a certain time of the year kind of society. And the truth is, everybody that votes for the Heisman Trophy doesn't watch college football from day one till the end of the year. Tennessee ended the year playing South Carolina, Vanderbilt, and somebody else that's not really that good, and Missouri. And none of those three games were marquee games. The Georgia game happened, and that was it. So those final three games, not only did he get hurt, he just didn't really even get the opportunity to show out. So for me, I think Hendon Hooker probably would have been my Heisman Trophy win, or I would have given it to Stetson Bennett. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say SEC bias. Okay, let's take the SEC out of it. I think Max Duggan would have been fine. And there's a lot of other players you can bring up. But what I will also say is this is probably the weakest Heisman winner we can point to in quite some time, right? So also the greatest Heisman Trophy winner of all time. Before I move on to any more comments here, it's celebrating a birthday. This man. Happy birthday, big number 26 to Joe Burrow. Let's go to Esmond here. Heisman has always been a popularity contest, nothing more north than less, just like the Pro Bowl game. Newton and Jameis the Thief Winston. Hooker should have been there over Bennett. So, yeah, if you want to, we can get into a debate about integrity for everybody else, right? Cam Newton, obviously, there was a lot. And then, obviously, Jameis, there was even more involving that. And then, yeah. Now, I personally, for me, I try not to be moralist. But I want it to be clear. I don't care if you do non-criminal things off the field. I don't care on the field. You plant a flag at midfield or you talk trash, throw up a middle finger at an opponent. I don't care. I like it. But, I'm reading the mission statement. You want to throw the integrity word in there, then yeah, I don't know. There's some other players I think would be interesting, like honestly, if you could make a case that Harold Perkins cost Bryce Young a back-to-back Heisman win, because that game was so big, and that would have cost Bryce Young the rematch versus Stetson Bennett. So yeah, I might have given it to Bryce Young again. And I know Semper hates him some Bryce Young, but I mean, I don't know. I'm fine with Caleb Williams winning it. I'm fine with it. I'm just saying it is very, very interesting how this stuff works. The Heisman Trophy should be renamed the Burrow Trophy. What's interesting about that is I think Joe would absolutely hate that, right? Joe is like, and Grant, I know you listen to this far more often than I do, but Joe does this weekly interview with Colin Cowherd. And a few weeks ago, I don't remember who, but a commenter brought up, hey, why doesn't Burrow do more LSU stuff? Which to me, I think is just wrong, because Joe does do a lot of LSU stuff. He wears us on his wrist every single day. My dream is to give Joe Burrow some PHL bands. I doubt he wears them, but I just want to hand it to him to give him the option. Joe is a very forward-thinking guy, right? I don't think while I think he enjoys the Heisman, I think he wants everything he possibly get while he could still play. And that's why I love about him so much. One lesson I've taken away from Joe Burrow is, like, for me, I don't think he thinks about the Heisman Trophy too much. I don't think he thinks about the LSU stuff too much, because he's so focused about doing what's best for the Bengals now. But yeah, to me, it'll always be the Burrow Trophy. So I agree with you, Grant. So yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot Semper's a Jalen Hurts guy. I'm also a big Jalen Hurts guy. I am a big Jalen Hurts guy. But he played at Alabama. I don't care. I like me some Jalen Hurts, man. You want to talk about a guy that Doesn't say anything. Always does things the right way. Cheered for Tua in the national championship game. Second round pick. Nobody believed in him. It could also be that I drafted Jalen Hurts in basically every single fantasy football league I'm in, because getting him in the 5th or 6th round of a fantasy league was just crazy. Dude just got A.J. Brown. Not to change the subject, but Carter, don't you think Kayshon is in the same ballpark as Key and OJULARI? They're different players. I think, Arden Key is like the best pass rusher out of all of them, right? Kayshon's a really good player. He's a really good pass rusher, but I always view Kayshon a little bit more as like a run and chase kind of player. And there's a difference, right? I think, Kayshon wasn't as refined as a pass rusher as OJULARI and Arden Key. Now, he's not way off, but he's still really, really, really good. Let's see. Put a pause for a second. Perkins should have been invited to the Heisman. Honestly, Greg McElroy actually tried to push it. I show praise for the second time to a Bama guy here, but McElroy said, look, if the Heisman Trophy should go to the best player, which it doesn't, that's not, according to the Heisman, that's not, what you should be voting for. Greg McElroy tweeted out after the Arkansas game, shouldn't Harold Perkins be getting some Heisman love? And honestly, just to, bring this up just very quickly here, I'm going to be honest, and I don't want to get in. I don't want to say this and this kind of take over, because if an Ole Miss fan helicoptered in, they would think, oh, we were just sour grapes because your guy didn't win the award. But I really do think Harold Perkins should have gotten a newcomer over Kayshon Judkins. Now, did Kayshon have an absolutely phenomenal year? Yeah, it was one of the best true freshman seasons we've ever seen from a running back. But Harold Perkins quite literally flipped the SEC West. I don't know if we beat Mississippi State without him. I don't know if we beat Auburn without him. We don't beat Arkansas without him. That's, pretty evident. The Alabama game, he was such a difference maker for us. And then the Ole Miss game, the game versus Kayshon Judkins, the opposing coach quite literally said, hey, this guy caused me to suck at my job that I'm really good at. I think Perk got robbed there, which is why I think there needs to be an offensive newcomer and a defensive newcomer. Right now, this wasn't as bad as Bo Nix over Derek Stingley a few years ago, but Kayshon, it's fine that he won. It is fine. Trust me, he is a really good running back. He might be Fournette good when it's all said and done. He is really good. Okay. But I just want to include that it is tougher to do what Harold Perkins did at linebacker, in my estimation, than it is to do what you do at running back, where you have 20 plus touches to decide the game. So, but it's not hate. I don't want it's people come off as saying, oh, you're saying Kayshon, it's hate. It's not. I don't know why we do offensive and defensive for everything outside of this award, right? The SEC does offensive player of the year and defensive player of the year. Why don't we do this for this, right? So, I don't know. Now, I'll go to what Frank says here. Honestly, was a little shocked that Brock Bowers didn't get more Heisman love. I thought this would have been a good year for a different position to actually win it. But, Caleb Williams, UCLA game, it's really hard to argue against that. And, we haven't really seen a West Coast star in the sport in quite some time. Haven't really seen the West Coast really in the playoffs, really, and they're still not in it. So it's very, very, very interesting. Okay. Hi, dude. What's up, Damien? It's been a while. Good to see you. Zach, let me know if I missed your super chat. I saw you before the stream say something about a super chat. Bennett deserves it out of the other finalists. So I'll state a case here for Stetson Bennett. Stetson Bennett's numbers versus AP ranked teams were the best out of the group. Also, Stetson Bennett didn't get many competitive fourth quarters to play in, which obviously hurt his numbers. But there were some games where turnovers were an issue for him. But yeah, I would have been fine with Stetson winning it. But I think Brock Bowers was the guy from Georgia that should have gotten the invite. What he does with Georgia's 12 personnel is revolutionary, honestly. And, I think this would have been a good year to give it to somebody else, right? Like, when you're giving out an award for most valuable, the award should always go to a quarterback. Well, this isn't a most valuable award. I just think for me, I think Brock Bowers was the most outstanding player in all of college football this year, from start to finish. How many tight ends have you seen take handoffs to the house? Handoffs, tight ends, handoffs. Brock Bowers took handoffs to the house. Like, that's nuts. At tight end, I don't care if you got 5-star offensive lineman. You house call handoffs at tight end? Really? What kind of world do we live in? Okay. So, him, Jalen Carter, but I know he was very hurt. Jalen Carter, to me, is the best player in the sport, as we all witnessed this past weekend. So, I just think the Heisman Trophy is flawed. It's just too much of a quarterback award. I think Will Anderson should have gotten it last year. And, I think obviously with revisionist history as well mixed in here, and this kind of goes on with the Harold Perkins point a minute ago, but, let's go back to 2011 when, Robert Griffin won over Tyrann Mathieu. While RG3 had a fantastic freaking year, and this it might just be my algorithm, but I swear it's every other week somebody's tweeting out the Tyrann Mathieu clips from LSU. We've never seen a DB do what that guy did since then. So, I just think we need to celebrate more positions and just quarterback this, quarterback that, quarterback this, quarterback that. So, yeah, this would have been a really, really good year to show some love to another position, right? Last year I thought about, Tyler Lindenbaum, the tight the center from freaking Iowa. But, the quarterback's the most important position in the sport. They get all the love when you win. They get all the hate when you lose. They get the post-game interviews. It's very, very, very interesting. So there you go. A mediocre defense will beat them. Bennett over Williams. Oh, yeah. Okay. So you were just saying just out of the finalists. I gotcha. I need the case for Stetson. So I shared some. Stats versus AP top 5 teams was incredible. his Oregon game was so good. But yeah, I don't think this was a year like, for instance, I think Justin Fields would have won this year. Okay. If his prime year was this year. Now, obviously his junior year was the Rona year. So there you go. Bijan Robinson should have been invited. Yeah, I think what hurt him, I know he finished in the top 10 votes. I think what hurt him was the big games, right? So, the Alabama game was rough and the TCU game was rough. Now, it's not entirely on him, but yeah. Bo Nix, I'm down for a Bo Nix. Let's see here. Thanks. Good to see you. Who had 65% of LSU's offense? Oh, that's right. Jayden Daniels. Okay. That's cool. I always get interested. Well, I'm always interested in when people say, well, quarterback had this percentage of this offense. Does that mean they get the passing yards, or does the receiver get credit for the percentage of the passing yards? I've always found that to be very, very, very interesting. I say hi to Tony. Good to see you. So there you go. Now I want to get into some more LSU stuff. Obviously, we spent the first 20-ish minutes here talking about the Heisman Trophy. Let's get into some LSU stuff, right? Bo Nix, right? You remember him? I didn't think I would be talking a whole lot about Bo Nix here. Okay. So there you go. Everybody, welcome the Fantasy Birds. Yeah, I do. I think obviously, I think Kayshon would have been a killer in the first year in the NFL, even if he had a down year. But I'm very happy that a wide receiver in the prime of his athletic career is in a spot where let me think. Top 5. Let me start over. Top 5 wide receiver in this draft. Yeah, I think so still. Like, obviously, I think he would go higher than Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think he would go higher. I think the only receiver that'll get drafted over Kayshon is Quentin Johnson, for sure. And potentially Jalen Hyatt. But top 5, I don't. It's tough. It's really, really, really tough. I think he would. I do. Now, I want to get into BJ OJULARI, okay? Type Y for yes, type N for no. If you, okay, I'm looking at you right now, all right? Type Y for yes. Type N for no. Do you believe BJ OJULARI should run it back? Okay. He is right now a fringe first-round pick. I could see him going as high in the top 10. I could see him falling to the middle of the second round. I don't think he falls further than that. Okay. Let's take a look at the draft boards. Okay. Just gonna look at Mel Kiper's really quickly. No, go make your money. No, Damien says yes. Yes, no. Kayshon shouldn't either come back. Okay. Go make your money. If Jayden is projected to be a second, third rounder, then he should go. I know Mel Kiper said what he said, but still, let me look at this mock draft database consensus rankings. Okay. Consensus mock draft big board. And I want to pull up the edge prospects here. And BJ OJULARI is currently the 35th ranked overall player. Okay. So he is a fringe first rounder. Okay. According to all the mock drafts, people that look at this every single day. Now, once again, those don't always coincide with what the actual NFL scouts have to think about a prospect. Okay. Let's talk about Jayden Daniels. Carvis wants to talk about Jayden Daniels. Quincy Wiggins and OJULARI are different players. Quincy Wiggins, I think, is for sure hand in the dirt end, and OJULARI is a little bit more of a 2-point stance player. Not saying either can do either or, but still. Jayden has enormous decisions. Mel Kiper has him as the 5th best quarterback. That means 2nd to 5th round, depending on how desperate a team is. You believe BJ should go. Okay. So let me start with the quarterback rankings. So according to the consensus mock draft database, Jayden Daniels is currently 125th. Okay. So I'll pull this up once again. This isn't Mel Kiper. This isn't any one draft. This is just the consensus big board. Okay. So Jayden Daniels right now will get drafted. Okay. Now, quarterbacks, it's a little bit different than, let's say, a corner or a wide receiver, where if you see a corner like in this 125 range, you know for sure he's going to get drafted. Quarterback, teams are only going to draft one quarterback, no more than 2. So if there is half the league that doesn't like you, you can go undrafted. It can happen at quarterback if you're a middle tier quarterback. Okay. So right now with Jayden Daniels, especially him, this is one of these situations where if you are if you are drafting for upside, then Jayden Daniels has enormous upside, right? Because he is truly an athletic specimen with his running ability. And Jayden Daniels interviews well. He is tough. He's gritty. Teams love that. He interviews well, leads a team well. Teams love that stuff, right? But as a thrower, every single NFL team that knows way more about football than I do, and lucky enough, I know some of these people, and you see me share their opinions on this channel from time to time. They say, well, look, this guy is a very flawed thrower of the football. Okay. So, yeah, Jayden does have a very difficult decision. All right. Now, I don't want this to just be a Jayden Daniels conversation. So what we're going to do here is we'll get back into some BJ OJULARI chatter, but type Y for yes, type in for no. I'm not asking for your opinion if Jayden Daniels should come back. I am going to ask you what you would do if you were Jayden Daniels. Let's say Jayden Daniels has a name, image, and likeness deal locked in for next year for, let's say, $500,000. Okay, and that could potentially go up. I'm guessing that's what a starting Division I quarterback, especially one that's good like Jayden Daniels, probably has. Would you rather come back to LSU, where you're arguably a bigger star here than, as a backup in the NFL, and get a chance to take this team to the national championship in your final year of eligibility? Or would you go to the NFL and take your chances? Type Y for yes, type in for no. If you were Jayden Daniels, would you come back to LSU? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Okay? Victor says yes. Dale says no. I would not come back. Skipper says no, I would not come back. Skipper would say, look, I will go to the NFL and take my chances. Mr. Go Tiger says, yes, I would come back. Yes. Simper says no. Jules says, I would stay and make my stock better. Okay, good luck with Caleb Williams and Drake May in next year's draft. That would be the first two quarterbacks taken in this year's draft. Jordan says, yes, I would go. John Sibley says the same. I would go. What if Nuss takes this job? That's the thing. Like Spencer Rattler is a really good college quarterback. He might not ever get drafted. He might not ever do anything with his NFL career. But Spencer Rattler's top half of the starters in college football. He was slated to go number one in last year's draft, and Caleb Williams, Wally pipped him. It's one way to look at it. One wrong hit and his best skill set is gone. He needs to go. Right? It depends on why he can't seem to get over his fear of throwing the football. That's true, LA Mom. I think one thing that would be very interesting to do, and if I hopefully one day I get the opportunity to interview and speak with Jayden Daniels. There is someone close to him I speak to pretty often, as I've shared, plenty of times. I would love to have the opportunity because I would ask him that. I would say, look, I'm not your coach. I don't know as much about football as you do, but why is it sometimes that, you can't see these guys open down the field sometimes? And, I'd be interested to see what he has to say about, certain plays. Because it is a little bit different when things are happening at a gazillion miles per hour and he's him and I'm just sitting here doing 2-hour live streams, right? For me, I'm a believer in Jayden. I'm going to support him in anything that he does. But, to Simper's point, what if you do get Wally Pipp next year? There's an interesting wild card here for Jayden Daniels is that while he only has 1 year of eligibility remaining to play, he does have 2 years to play that 1 year of eligibility, right? So he started in 2019, then in 2020 we had the Rona year. Then he was a starter in 2021 and 2022. So he has never taken a redshirt year. So let's just say going into next year, 4 games in, we have a Trevor Lawrence versus Kelly Bryant situation, and Nuss or Walker or Ricky Collins takes the job, right? Well, Jayden could redshirt and go to another college and play his final year. It is very much, in play. And also the impetus to getting to the NFL isn't as important at quarterback as it is at other positions. It's more important to get to the NFL quicker at running back, wide receiver, and every non-kicker, punter, quarterback position. So, yeah. Holding a clipboard in the league is a minimum $750K a year job. Risking injury after the season he just had is completely stupid. Yeah, and look, if you're Jayden, how much better of a season could you have had? Now, you could have had better games. The Auburn game wasn't great. The Arkansas game was really, 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 really bad. As bad as he could have possibly played was the Arkansas game. And then the A&M game, he fell apart in the third quarter there. But other than that, he was a very good quarterback for us. How much better can you get than what you did last year, winning the SEC West? It's tough. It's tough. Okay. Side to Prez, what's up, man? Here's my thing. If something else, if I'm Jayden Daniels, right? What do we know about LSU? Okay. Now, once again, I am an LSU fan. Okay. But I will call out a toxic environment if I hear a toxic environment. And going into 2021, I was like, hey, LSU, there's a lot of things I'm not liking what I'm hearing. And we became a very toxic environment, right? And in 2022, that changed, right? A big reason why we won so many games is, some of these intangible things, the buy-in and all of that. And, if you're Jayden Daniels, coming back next year, you are going to be in as good of an environment as you're possibly going to be. You've got 2 returning offensive tackles. Your center is for sure coming back. You have all your wide receivers coming back, all of them, except Jeray Jenkins and obviously Jack Bech to the portal. You have your tight end back. You're probably going to have your entire coaching staff back. And you've got a stable head coach. What if you get drafted by the Raiders? What if you get drafted by the Jaguars? What if you get drafted by, a team that isn't that kind of environment? So if, it used to be, hey, the right decision is going to the NFL because you're going to get paid. But now that players are getting paid, and I know the environment I'm coming back to is what it is, then that peace of mind means something. I do feel that played a role in Kayshon's decision. Look, you're telling me that, hey, you can get drafted anywhere, and you're not going to get drafted by the Saints because they don't have a first-round pick. You got to move your family, right? You got to move your family. Now, it's inevitable. Kayshon knows that that's coming. But you're telling me that I could stay where I am and be where I am and play in facilities that are as good, if not better, than some NFL facilities, play for a group of fans that will love me more than any NFL fan base will love me. That I think that factored in. Let's go to Zach Super Chat here. Does Kayshon get number 7 again? Absolutely. And honestly, probably the biggest thing about Kayshon coming back is that we don't have to do this number 7 thing going into next year, right? Because, we think about, the number 7 curse, if you will. Obviously the last few number 7s haven't had the years that some of the other number 7s have had. So that's also something that's really good about him coming back, is that we don't have to, bestow this honor and put the pressure of wearing this jersey on somebody else. And honestly, to be like, I know Kayshon will always be remembered for the Ole Miss game. That will be the game that will last, centuries. Hopefully, there will be bigger moments than that. But it's going to be hard to see anyone break that record that he had in that game. But the truth here is, well, Kayshon, let's be honest. In his legacy kind of cemented with this decision, right? I think the thing that people are going to remember him for, especially if we win it all next year, is this decision to come back. And I remember this clear as day because, when LSU won the national championship in 07, that was the first year I was at LSU. I remember that being such a big deal to those players. I remember that being such a big deal to the city that, someone from South Louisiana and Glenn Dorsey said, look, I'm running it back. I feel like we have a national championship level roster. And, that's one thing I always remember about Glenn more than any play that he ever made was that decision to come back. It is truly crazy. I don't know if I would have, the wherewithal to do that, right? I am a very risk averse person in and of itself. I feel like in my life I could have done more risk taking. So yeah, it is a risk, but now it's a little bit more of a calculated risk, if you will. Put some weight on JD5, might be able to be a Taysom 2.0, better arm and faster than Taysom. I could see it. Yeah, sure. Give Kayshon number 18. That'd be pretty cool. That'd be cool to be the first person to wear both of them. Okay. Why not move JD5 to running back and let someone that can actually throw the ball be QB1? So pull up Braxton Miller, if you will. I don't know. I think it'd be, I don't know, because I see what you're thinking. I just don't know. Yeah, Max, I've thought about it for quite a bit. It's still relatively shocking, going back to his interview with the Colada Show. It was a really good interview. Before the year, it was the first time we had really heard Kayshon talk about, a situation, right? And, he said, quote, and we brought this up in the PHL, the last free PHL podcast on Apple, Spotify, all that good stuff, that Kayshon was very clear in saying, hey, you don't want to stay here longer than you need to, right? And that was just so fascinating to me. It really was. I was like, yeah, I mean, I've never just heard someone be so blunt about the, the 3 and out thing. And, the 180-degree turn from that mindset to come back when his draft stock just hadn't really tanked. It just hasn't. It's not like, he was just bad this year. He wasn't bad. He had big moments. It was clear our passing attack as a whole was just kind of meh. It really is just crazy. Like, I'm glad he did it, but it's still so shocking to me. And let's run this thing back. Let's go. Josh Williams for 18 in 2023. Cameron, good to see you. Yeah, Kevin, it just depends, like, how much the I don't know, just Try to think of some other 18 candidates. I'm fine with it. Josh, number 18. Okay. But honestly, I think, this is one of the big things we referenced this a minute ago was becoming a dad, right? If I just had an infant, I'd want to stay as close as home and have my network surrounded me. It's just a lot easier, right? Now, I'm not a dad. The super dads and super moms of PHL, the ones that did live near your parents, I think your parents being near you changed everything. It was huge for you because, well, babysitter's right down the road. So, yeah, it probably played a little role into this. No love for Matt O'Dowd. I love it. So there you go. Now, what I do want to bring up is this. Okay. Pretty happy, very blessed to have 125 of you hanging out with us this glorious evening. Don't forget, PowerHourLSU.com. Take advantage of all our cool swaggadooshie stuff. Swaggadooshie. Look at all the swag. Swag. Power LSU stuff. PowerLSU.com. It's that simple. Okay. Shop till you drop, baby. PowerLSU.com. Get your new gear. Now, what are we giving out tonight? I gave out a BJ OJULARI autograph during the last live stream. Let's see what we want to give out tonight. All right. How about an underrated Tiger? Okay. Let's get this out to an underrated Tiger. You buy something from the PHL shop, or if you get an OG PHL shirt, I'm sending you an autograph Micah Baskerville card. I love this card from the Under Armour All-American game. Or actually, no, the U.S. Army All-American game. Speaking of which, the Army-Navy game was incredible today. Right here, Micah Baskerville autograph card to the next person that spends $60 in our store. Okay? Micah Baskerville card is going your way. Smash that like button here. Yeah, Cliff, I don't know. Desmond Little hits the transfer report. I'll talk about that for a little bit here. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't. When he played, he was good, right? So Desmond Little has had some incredible games, but they were against the non-Power 5 teams. Those would be the times he would actually get the opportunity to play. We never played him during actual Power 5 reps, and I would have liked to have seen him get some playing time, not necessarily for the potential of him being good. I just think it would have been worth it to see if he could play because we were so thin with our team, our defense just in and of itself. So yeah, he got the single digit number. I was like, okay. So you go from number 59 to number 8. That's a huge, huge upgrade. So he got the single digit. He had he had a big game versus Southern, but he really didn't play much outside of that. So I would have liked to have seen him get some snaps just to see if he can do something. But once Harold Perkins came on and you want BJ on the field as much as you possibly can, no one else really played the jack, and it's very, very, very interesting. So there you go. Swamp Donkey, welcome to the channel. I love just the photo of the that right there, folks, is candy. Just to let you know. Isn't that candy? Next super chat. Let's go to Zach. Just a reminder that Kobe Fields played over Harold Perkins versus FSU. Yeah, look, you know the one thing, I'm actually going to compliment the LSU staff about this, okay? Now, does this sound like a compliment? No. Kobe Fields also transferred. We talked about it in the last live stream. That one didn't make a lot of sense to me because he's going to have to sit out wherever he goes a full year. Unless a rule change happened where you can just go to as many schools as you want. So LSU was the second school in as many years. You know, unless you're a graduate transfer, he won't be able to play wherever he goes next year. So if I were him, I'd just come back and play, right? I think he's only used up 1 year of eligibility. Linebacker room's going to be open. Basketball is going to be gone. So I think the more interesting thing about Desmond Little and Kobe Fields entering the portal is, well, they're playing a position that anything could happen, right? Basketball was third string. Okay. Now, obviously, Kobe Fields and Harold Perkins play different positions, right? But, you know, for me, I will say that Kobe Fields is a prospect that I liked a lot. And I think he probably should have been more patient after LSU took a chance on him. But to credit the staff, they quickly moved on from the idea that they needed to slowly bring in the fall guys, right? The guys that came in later, right? Like obviously Mason Taylor started and played the entire year wire to wire, but we really had no other tight ends. When it became evident that Harold Perkins and Emory Jones gave us the best chance to win football games, we played them. And the Tennessee game was a mistake with the Harold Perkins thing. Now, I'll say this until I die as far as this game is concerned, because I get asked about this a lot because of all the stuff I said about Harold Perkins going into last year. You know, I got asked that question a lot about why didn't Perk play a lot versus Tennessee? The simple truth is that game would not have changed. We made too many mistakes and played too poorly on offense and special teams that we would not have won that game. Tennessee was bound to blow us out. Harold Perkins, I mean, we could have had Ray Lewis out there and it wouldn't have changed anything. So, you know, Ray Lewis in his prime, not Ray Lewis now. So, yeah, I think Harold Perkins obviously was patient, took coaching really well, and played unbelievable towards the end of the year. There we go. There's a Jayden fan club president. What's up, Legacy Dom? Good to see you. Let's go to Zach's next super chat here. Do HP and Tolan start at linebacker next year, or does HP play Jack again and someone else at LB? So here's what I think LSU is going to do. Okay. You know, I got some information last week from someone I trust, okay, about Edgerrin Cooper at Texas A&M, okay? Edgerrin Cooper was not a fan of our last staff for good reason. Won't get into that. But now there's your new group of coaches. Now, Edgerrin Cooper was someone who tweeted out that he wanted to piss in our cornflakes, and let's be honest, Texas A&M did that, okay? But here's a very experienced linebacker from the state of Louisiana that fills a massive need for us as a traditional backer. Now, does Demario Tolan have a really good shot of starting next year? He does, right? I don't think Demario Tolan, Greg Penn, and that's it is going to be good enough for the staff. I know they get Wes Weeks back. I know they have Brathwaite and West Week's little brother coming in, and they've got some other interesting linebacker pieces. I feel like they want to go to the portal and get somebody, right? It's worked out well for us, okay? The portal has done really well for us at that position, right? Jabril Cox was a really good football player for us. I think they want to go get somebody to be a veteran presence at a position where experience does, to me, matter, right? The Mike Backer is the talisman of the defense, right? He calls the shots, and I would really like Edgerrin Cooper. Now, is Edgerrin Cooper Devin White? No, but he's solid, and I think that's what they want to do there. Now, it doesn't have to necessarily be him. I think it could be a wide range of players, but I do think that will be very interesting. So yeah, but as far as Harold Perkins in his future, can he play off-ball backer? Can he be a backer that plays in the box? I don't know. Okay. The one thing about Harold Perkins, and this has always been my evaluation of him, okay, whether it be on this show, any show I go on, this has always been my analysis, that he is so special at the game of football that I don't know what his best position would be. Just put him on the field somewhere, okay? And Harold Perkins is so athletic that, some of the growing pains at the position are a little bit easier for someone like him. So he's not the absolute biggest guy, and we want to play him on the field where, we can allow him to take chances and go make plays. I think him being on the edge allows him to do those things. Whereas playing a traditional backer role, it's a little bit different. So, I think, as far as Harold Perkins is concerned, if I'm LSU, I'm not asking him to do anything he's not doing right now. Now, can he play the Devin White, Patrick Queen role? Yeah, he can. But the way they used him this year was so unique. Really, a whole lot of teams just didn't really have an answer for it. And in particular, it stopped a lot of these spread attacks. So, yeah. It's very, very, very interesting. I do think he does need to get a little bit bigger, right? Not the longest guy as far as like arm length is concerned, but man, his ball skills, his football IQ, his instincts are just so freaking good. Okay. Go to the next super chat here from John Sibley Butler. What about assuring recruits that the team will not go to transfer portal but build 89% through high school recruitment? In the future, will commitment be better than kids looking for football instead of tradition? This is a really good, really, really, really good quote. Okay. Because, Brian Kelly was specifically asked about this, I think during the Kansas State game, right? Do you want to go to the portal to rebuild this team, or do you want in the future to build through high school? And here's the thing. Because there's so many great players from the state of Louisiana that go off and become superstars and first-round picks at other schools, right? Or just very solid players at other schools like Jarek Bernard Converse and Joe Fouché and Greg Brooks and all those guys, it would behoove LSU to focus mostly on the transfer portal, right? Because, you'll get to see if the kid from Louisiana could play somewhere else. And if they can, what you have as a player. Every guy you bring out of high school, there's going to be some question marks. But I do believe high school recruitment is still the one of the more important things you have to do, right? Now, the first part of this question is very interesting because what about assuring recruits that the team will not go to transfer portal below 89% through high school recruitment? There are going to be a lot of recruits this year that are going to just get screwed from the process here. Now, why is that the case? Well, it's because, if you have the choice whether or not to get someone from the portal or get someone that, comes out of high school, I would much prefer to get, as a college coach, to get someone through the portal. And there are a lot of teams that have switched their focus on mostly transfer portal recruiting. Illinois is one of those schools. But yeah, I think in the long term, you still do need to recruit, from the high school level. I still think most of your best players are going to be high school recruits. And it's going to be important to, scout, scheme, and develop still. And I think where, in particular, John Sibley is going to be the most important is on the lines. I think, just looking at the portal, I think most of the portal players are skill guys. Offensive linemen are tougher. It's tougher to get a good offensive lineman in the portal, right? And if you take a look at some of the portal offensive linemen we've brought in, it's been a little bit more of a growing pain for those players than it has been at other positions. So it's very, very, very important. Okay. Yeah, thank you, John Sibley, for the super chat. The conversation, Chris Marshall and Denver Harris. I would be more interested in the latter and not the former. So yeah. We got to thank you for your service. We got a lot of Marines in here. Obviously, Semper. Prez was in here a minute ago. Yeah, it's really good, right? All our military. Good stuff. If a player enters the portal and doesn't get picked up, would you take them back? Yeah, sure. Why not? Just depends, obviously, on who that player is. Now, when it comes to a moment you can't take back, I think of that very special moment in your life when you find that person who you love, right? And you need to trust someone with that moment when you see that person, okay? Now, when that moment comes, there's someone that I know, and you might know him as well, that could make that moment one that is absolutely positively one that you will remember for the rest of your life. And that is something that I don't take lightly. I personally would not steer you wrong, right? You guys sometimes DM me for advice in your life. Well, I'm about to give you some great advice. For the first time, Nolan gets the Presley Collection trivia winner, the Presley Collection and PresleyCollection.com. Now, Nolan, I'm going to let you slide because you are a first timer here. You did misspell the name. Presley Collection, PresleyCollection.com. Now, that moment is not one that I, say, look, it's. I remember this. Blood was still flowing through my veins like anything else. This was a few hours after I popped the question to my hey in England, and it was hilarious earlier today that England lost to France. I was both in London and Paris earlier this year to actually ask my hey to marry her. Sorry, ladies, I'm already taken. I know that is very disappointing. Who else would want a chubby YouTuber like myself? Well, if you want to make sure that moment is one that you will remember for the rest of your life, I promise you, I know it's weird. Hey, normally I go into a store so I can actually see the thing, and I get it. It's weird to do the stuff over the phone. It's weird to do the stuff online. But it's also, more affordable. All right. If you want to learn more, PresleyCollection.com, or you can reach out to me and I'll set you up a one-on-one consultation like I've done for quite a few of you. PresleyCollection.com is the way to go. Now, it's not just rings, it's necklaces, any kind of jewelry, like every type of jewelry. Presley Collection, PresleyCollection.com. Talk to him. If you're thinking about buying, renewing your vows, it's not just engagement stuff, it's everything. Okay. The spelling counts. Skipper, we got to crack down on this. Okay. I'm Army all the way. No country club. Oh, ha, 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 ha. No, we're gonna let you slide. First time winners, you gotta let him slide. Because I think also Nolan, he got so excited that this was going to be his first time thing that he just typed something really quickly. It was like, oh my God, it's my opportunity. Enter. Congratulations, Nolan. Okay. Yeah, Vet. It's kind of like a major thing, right? If you go with somebody else, it'll be like misspelling Presley, right? You want everything to be exact. I promise you. I promise you. Okay. Oh, my niece is Presley, so my phone autocorrects to the ones. I see. Oh, okay. Nolan blaming younger people? Huh? Nolan just decided, look, you're wrong. I was already excusing your mistake, but Nolan was like, hold on. There's a reason. Nolan had to, my dog ate my homework. This thing right here. Oh, man, that is so funny. All right, Caleb Williams did not deserve to win the Heisman, according to you guys. Gotta love it. Presley Collection. I gotta defend myself. Throw the kids. There you go. It's that MJ meme. Now I can't say the MJ meme out loud. Yes, make your niece change her name. No excuses. I can see Nolan going to his niece saying, look, I love you, but there are things more important in life than your name. Why doesn't your name have an extra L in it? I love it. Freaking love it. Toviano and Ricks will be committing to LSU soon in the secondary. Toviano on the 15, Ricks on the 23rd. Give us one more transfer cornerback, and the secondary will reload. So let me ask you this, Kevin. Okay, once again, 3 purple letter avatars in a row. I want to see those beautiful faces. Max's comment is hilarious, though. Oh, man. That's so funny. So let me ask you this, Kevin. Do you think Toviano and Ricks are that good? Your personal evaluation of them. Let me know. Okay. Let's see. Oh, man, I can't believe England choked today. Harry Kane, all you have to do is make a penalty. Mm. Ricks is potentially an All-American corner. Toviano will be a very good safety. Okay. Now, it is very important for people that do not follow recruiting to understand that Kevin is talking about the recruit Desmond Ricks, not Eli Ricks. Okay. Javian Toviano is also a high school recruit. So, just so people don't get confused, because I know a few people are talking about Eli Ricks in the comment section. Okay. So, there you go. Denver Harris. Yeah. Should be very, very, very interesting. Let's see here. Kelvin Banks. Oh man, that'd be killer if we got Kelvin Banks in the portal. I don't think he'd leave Texas. Let's see. I got a few Jack Best questions to leave before graduation. I think he's gone. I think Besh could end back up at LSU. I do. I honestly do. I think, you know, let's say BTJ, Malik, and Kayshon all decide to leave after next year. I think all three of them would have NFL markets. I do. Um, yeah, I think Jack Besh would be open to coming back and playing for LSU. I honestly don't believe, and I've not talked to Jack since he's left, and not talked to Jack in a while. I don't think he wanted to go. Honestly, don't think he wanted to go. Was he frustrated with where he was on the depth chart? Yeah. Is it frustrating to see some guys play over you that you might think you're better than? Yeah. But, with 2 years of eligibility left, I just think he was in a position where he had to go, right? And you also had this ginormous decision by Kayshon that nobody could have predicted. Nobody. So, yeah. Oh, so 7 banks. Yeah, I don't know what the issue is. The one thing I will say about Seven Banks I liked a lot was he was the first player to cheer on a lot of LSU Tigers from the sideline. And that showed me a lot, honestly. But yeah, I don't know what Seven Banks' situation is. I don't know if they give him the medical hardship to play his final year here? I honestly don't know. But the first thing you'd have to answer is he fully healthy? Is he fully recovered? And the second thing is, does he want to come back, or does he want to see if the NFL will take a chance on him? I think DB is one of those positions that the NFL is always willing to take a chance on, right? Because there's very few people who can actually cover people on the outside. And Sevyn Banks athletically checks a lot of boxes. So there you go. See here. Okay. I do have some Brian Kelly audio that I want to play really quickly. So, yeah, I'm going to play a little bit of this. Man, that drove me so nuts, Max. Oh my God. I think Glenn Gilbo would like to have that whole week back. That was such an insane time. Anyway, here's some Brian Kelly audio about Purdue. I'm going to share a few things that I've seen about Purdue. And what I like about LSU going into the Purdue matchup. I know we're basically a month away. It's December 10th. The game isn't until January 2nd. So there you go. And yeah.
The winning ways. We've lost 2 games, obviously to the number 1 team in the country this past weekend. But again, playing Purdue, a team that won their side of the Big Ten. I have a lot of respect for Jeff and his teams play with an edge. Played him when I was at Notre Dame, and he's got a great creative offense, really good defensive structure. And it'll be a great matchup between, 2 teams that, want to go out on a winning note. We've had good years, but we want them to be years that, finish on a positive note. So excited about being back in Orlando, seeing some old friends. Really appreciate this opportunity to play in this game, and certainly against a Big Ten team that's so well coached by Coach Brown.
Hey, Coach. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Coach, you put this big emphasis on graduating champions and academics. This is that time of year where guys could be ineligible. Like I guess last year there were a few for a bowl game. How much do you feel like you guys have done a good job with that, so they have their grades in order and whatnot? And then if I could ask a second question, just in this new era when you sometimes don't know who's going to play in the bowl and who's not.
Yeah, we'll have that all sorted out over the next 24, 48 hours. Certainly, you don't worry about academics just one day. We've been on it since we've got here. Every single day has been, working to improve who we are academically and how we do things on a day-to-day basis. So this isn't just like, hey, the season's over. Let's worry about our guys in the classroom. I'm in every meeting every week when it comes to academics. Our staff is aware of that. So could there be somebody ineligible? There might be. We have some guys that have to continue to do some things at the end here. but we've made great strides there. And I feel really good about the progress we've made academically with our guys recognizing the value of a degree from LSU. And then there's guys that are evaluating whether, they should be playing in a bowl game or should they, be working out and preparing for, an all-star game, or, should they be preparing to, get better for a combine run. Look, those are all things that we'll help and counsel our guys with, and we'll give them both sides of the story. Is it better to practice and prepare and work on your skill development as you kind of get ready for, an East-West Shrine game or a Senior Bowl? Is that better than trying to run a 40? We'll give them all that information, and then ultimately it's their choice, and we'll support them in whatever choice they in fact make.
Hi, Coach Kelly. First off, I just want to see what you thought of Garrett Nussmeier's performance and how you graded it.
I thought Garrett did some really good things. Clearly, he's a guy that, has got a strong arm, sees the field well, fit the ball into some tight windows. He made some mistakes as well, which, clearly, those are areas that he'll have to improve on. But, I think going in, and doing the things that we kind of thought he was capable of, I hope he leaves there, in this experience with a lot of confidence that he can go in and lead our football team to, championships. And because that's how we felt about him, and I think I was on record saying that we've got two really good quarterbacks. And if Jayden couldn't play, we believed in Garrett. Please go to the audio tape that we could win with Garrett. And I think he did a really nice job. There's some things we got to clean up, but he's a good quarterback too.
Hey, Coach. Curious just your thoughts in a little more detail on Jeff Brom, from kind of what he was at Western Kentucky to how he's now put together a roster and plays offensively at Purdue.
Yeah, listen, I think he's got a national reputation as a creative play caller, and he is. Let's face it, he's very creative. I think he does a really good job. They're going to throw the football, and they always have a big physical back, and which they do again this year. But they play with an edge. I mean, this is a team that he talked about. We're good old Purdue, and hey, we're going to rally. And listen, he coaches his guys and does a great job of getting them ready to play physical football. Indiana, Midwest, toughness. He recruits those kind of guys. So it's not just talk. I mean, I've gone against them, and they play physical. They play hard. And you better be ready to play for 4 quarters, because they're going to come after you for 4 quarters. It's not just about pretty plays and creative play calling. And that happens too. But I think what makes his team different is they play really hard and they play physical.
Hey, Brian, it's Mike Cobble.
Hey,
I was
Mike.
just curious, your memories of playing LSU in this bowl game. I don't have the best memories, somebody can probably correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought LSU got hosed on a goal line touchdown against the Irish. Just from the other side now, your thoughts on that game?
Oh, that definitely was not a touchdown. No, I don't think that was. And I can only see it from one perspective. So I was on the wrong sideline at that time. But what I do remember about the game in particular was, from an offensive standpoint, LSU struggling offensively, and LSU playing really good defense, and then making a play. Notre Dame making a play down the sideline. Miles Boykin went up. The ball was I think deflected, and he just stayed with it, made a play down the sideline, and I think that was really the difference. Both teams kind of struggled on offense, and it was a kind of a defensive struggle, and made a play down the stretch and came up with the win. And it was cold. And that never happens in Orlando. It's not supposed to, right? At least that's what Steve Hogan tells me.
All right, Coach. So far, has there been any timetable or any news on Jayden's ankle, or what's the process going to be moving forward with Jayden?
Yeah, he's probably going to need about a week to 10 days. So we won't practice him this Saturday. So he'll be out this week. Probably take it into the middle of next week before we start to even think about getting him out and around. So give him plenty of time so he's 100% healthy. No sense of re-aggravating it, putting him in a situation where he gets back into a in and out of the lineup kind of situation. So I think Bo Lowry, our head athletic trainer, is looking for at least 10 days where he can really recover and get that thing back to 100%.
Hey, Coach, everyone has the answers after the fact, obviously, but what's your opinion on when you have offensively, when you have a third and short, fourth and short, in the shotgun, does the running back, does he get some momentum running to the line and that helps? Or, should you sneak it with the quarterback? Obviously, you had the 4th and 1 yesterday. That was kind of a tough play for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to have all of those things. I think, we talked about, a quarterback sneak in that situation. We just didn't feel like our quarterback had done it enough as a backup. We had not repped it enough. We didn't feel as comfortable with it in that situation. We have with Jayden, we just didn't feel as comfortable as the play. We got beat off the ball flat out. Give Georgia credit. They were better at the line of scrimmage, and they beat us off the ball. But I do believe you have to have direct snap. I think you've got to get the ball out on the perimeter. I think you have to strike, not just inside, all the time. You've got to have some look. If you're going to go for it on 4th down, you're not conservative anyway. So you don't have to be conservative in your play calling. You need to find a way to get a 1st down. And if they're pinching and they're physical and they can knock you back, you got to think about other ways to pick up 1st downs as well.
All right, we have time for a couple more questions. If you have one, please raise your hand and we will unmute you.
There's Brian Kelly right there. I'll play a little bit of the audio a little bit later. So I wanted to include what he had to say about Jayden Daniels, but I also wanted to play that clip. Really good question right there from Jacques Doucet. And obviously this was the press conference from this past Sunday. God, it was a really good question by Jacques. What goes into your 4th and short decision-making? And I always love those kinds of questions because, I break down play calls, I break down plays. I like hearing the methodology behind the madness. And I, to this day, don't get that 4th and 1 play call. I just don't. I understand you don't feel comfortable with Garrett Nussmeier sneaking in that spot, but I don't feel comfortable with our offensive line, who is having a tough day blocking short yardage stuff all day, to convert that conversion right there. So yeah, I found that answer to be very, very, very fascinating. So there you go. So we have a new poll question up. Have you ever purchased a piece of PHL merch? And my question for you is, what's stopping you from doing so? Right? Don't forget. Okay. We've got the brand new PowerHourLSU.com. This is not even a month old. Okay. Right here. PowerHourLSU.com. Okay. It's a great way for you to join in on the madness that is the PHL merch nation. Okay. I know Max is a part of the PHL t-shirt club. John Sibley. Tony actually has bought me merch before. I still have that shirt. It's one of my favorite shirts to have. I have a feeling Nolan's going to join the PHL t-shirt club tonight. Why isn't BK's office nicer? It actually is pretty nice. So where the office is located is like a perch on top of like the practice field, and like Tiger Stadium's in the backdrop. I think Brian Kelly's a simple man. He's not like me. He doesn't have, all this memorabilia back here. So there you go. So Cameron, there you go. About to get that PHO hoodie. Oh, look at you. What's up, man? That's a lifelong friend right there. It's all buy one for Christmas. This man, I tell you, this man loves LSU more than anybody. Let's see here. So yeah, it's pretty cool to have this community, but it's even cooler to have PHL merch. I'm telling you. There you go. I'm getting some for my daughter, son, grandson, and grandson's girlfriend. You see Skipper rocking some of the new PHL merch. There you freaking go. Huh? Gotta love it. Yeah, I know Jack took that one very hard. I mean, it's just hard, man. Kickoff and punt returns, it's just so mental. Like, it's crazy, like, how much chaos is involved in each and every one of them. I'm not gonna lie, I've had a lot of fun doing this live stream. Our live streams have been really well attended lately. The one on Thursday, we had over 200 people in it for a good portion of it. The fact on a busy Saturday night where there's been a ton of sports, we've had over 100 people in here. I like I said, on these live streams, I'll never take any of this for granted. This is what I want to do the rest of my life. And all 107 of you that have watched, this live stream, you guys are helping make my dream come true. It's just that simple. And I really, really do appreciate it. I have a feeling we are on the brink of something special. I'm going to get a PHL shirt for my mistress. Carter, she deserves something. Hey. Did Caleb Williams deserve it? Yes. Was he the most deserving? Maybe. Good to see you. Michael T and his lovely wife D. Good to see you. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much. I love it. I probably would have given it to Hendon Hooker. I'm serious. I probably would have given it to Hendon Hooker. Hate on me all you want. But the thing that really hurt Hendon Hooker were the Georgia overthrows. There were chances for him to make plays. And was that a buzzsaw? Yes. But Tennessee caught some early breaks in that game. And when you get early breaks versus Georgia, you just got to take them. So there you go. So, yeah, for everyone just joining in, we talked about this in the beginning. On my SEC channel, I have a video on this topic. If the Heisman Trust, I'll put it up here one final time, okay? The Heisman mission statement. If it says this right here, Heisman Trophy Trust mission is to grow the legacy and preserve the integrity of the Heisman Memorial Trophy. So if integrity matters in this award, then writing F Utah on your nails is it's about as demeaning of a thing you could do to an opponent. And I trust you, I liked it. I'm all about it. Add some extra juice to the game. Sure. Um, but I don't think that's integrity in the minds of most. I wouldn't consider that to be integrity, right? So let that be. You compare it to somebody like Hendon Hooker, who I don't know. Hendon Hooker might have degraded an opponent at some point. I don't know. I'm just a big Hendon Hooker fan. I just am. So yeah. By the way, if you want some PHL bands, shirts, the OG PHL t-shirts, let me know. Once again, first person to get some merch tonight. If you get $60 worth of merch tonight, I'm sending you a Micah Bashville card. There you go. Okay, we got an actual USC supporter in here. Roger Dodger's been rocking with me for a while. Cam Newton got $250K to go to Auburn and won the Heisman. Does it compare to nail polish? Yeah, just depending on how you view any one of those things. That's for you to decide. But yeah, there's a lot of players when it comes to integrity you could bring up. Obviously Cam Newton, obviously, Jameis Winston. They had some, situations, if you will. Johnny Manziel. I mean, there's a lot of whatever you want to call it. Bad behavior. I really didn't care. As long as you're not doing criminal things, just doesn't matter to me, to be honest. But, if you're the Heisman Trophy and you say that diligence and perseverance and all these things, instead of just saying the award should go to the best player, I think I would respect it if you just say, look, the vote should go to the most outstanding player in the sport. Whoever you think that might be. But obviously, I think Baker Mayfield, when it comes to integrity, would be the one example, right? Planting the flag at midfield. What did he do versus Kansas? That was crazy. I think he did something. Let me see. Baker Mayfield didn't shake hands. I miss Baker so much. Yeah, I just don't. In retrospect, I don't know if Caleb Williams would. I think he would like to have a mea culpa on that, because they did lose both of those games too. Darren McFadden deserved the Heisman. The Troy Smith year, yeah, he did. I will also say that while I don't believe C.J. Stroud deserved to be a finalist, and I think being quarterback at Ohio State is one of the easier jobs in the sport. I do think it's impressive Bryce Young went to back-to-back finalist ceremonies. Pretty good. That was your final vote. I do like the Gucci suit, though. There you go. That's great. All right. So here's what we're going to do. In the next 5 minutes, I will answer as many questions as I possibly can. But if you super chat, we'll keep this party going all night long. Okay? Well, bless you. You live you live a crazy life all the way over in Turkey, man. Heisman consistently gets weaker. Well, it'll never be the same after the birthday boy has won the trophy. Shout him out. Joey B. Let's go. But yeah, so obviously Joe Burrow won it in 2019. I was super happy. I know it's going to sound weird. I'm super happy Devonta Smith won it because for so long, I hated that the award was just a quarterback award, right? So I was happy Devonta got it over Mac, and I think that was the right decision. And then 2021, Bryce won it. Really good season for Bryce. Then this year, it's gotten weaker. It's gotten weaker. You know what's very interesting is Kyler Murray's season. We could get into it was a Big 12 schedule or whatever. God, Kyler Murray's year was so freaking good. His stats were so freaking good that year. Well, an LSU player wasn't up for it. Joe Burrow won it on 3rd and 17. Let's see. CJ Stroud, RIP Dwayne Haskins. It's the best Ohio State quarterback I've seen in my 23 years on this earth. No, I would disagree with that. That was Joe Burrow. No, I would say Justin Fields. I would. I think Justin Fields' 2019 season would have won the Heisman over a lot of other years. I think that will go down as one of the best runner-up years. And that kind of lets you know how good Joe Burrow was. Like, for instance, I think, Jalen Hurts that year would have had a chance, if he was this year. Now, it would have been different because, Lincoln Riley's his coach and he can't be both his coach and Caleb Williams' coach, but still. Can you rank Heisman winners from 2012 to 2022? Okay, so let's do this. Heisman Trophy winners. Pull this up really quickly. All right. All right. Okay. All right. Now let me know if you guys could see this. Okay, what if I do? Okay, if I do this, that'll help out. Okay. Now, present, share screen. Okay. Boom. Okay, here are all your Heisman Trophy winners. And Grant wants me to rank them. Okay. From 2012 to 2022. Okay, so we cut off here with RG3 and start off with Johnny Football. All right, so this is me doing this without the stats in front of me. All right. Obviously, Joe to me is number one. I think most people who are neutral observers would also have Joe Burrow number one. So I will go Joe Burrow number one. Number two, I actually am going to go with Kyler at number two, right? Now, what I'm going to do here, Grant, I know this is going to seem like a cop-out here, but it's fine. I'm actually going to take Derrick Henry and Devonta Smith out of this because comparing a running back and a wide receiver to the other players here is just probably a little unfair to them. So I'm going to take those two out. If I were to pick between the two of them, though, I think Devonta Smith's season was better than Derrick Henry's season, to where the end of the season he was getting a few 40-carry games for him to win the Heisman Trophy. So I'm going to take Derrick Henry and Devonta Smith out here, but you can make a case Henry over Smith as well. All right. So I'm going to go Kyler number two. Number three, I it could just be biased because I love this man. I'm going to go Lamar, but I think over the course of a 4-year career, Baker Mayfield had the better career than Lamar Jackson. But if we're going single season, I'm going to go Burrow, Murray, Lamar, Johnny, Mariota, Mayfield, Winston, Young. Okay. I'm going to go Caleb Williams last. Obviously, Jameis won the national title. Only a few of these quarterbacks actually won the title. Joe and Jameis were the only two since 2012. But yeah, I'll go Joe, Kyler, Lamar, Mariota, Manziel, Mayfield, Winston, Bryce. Okay. I can make a case for Bryce over Manziel, Mariota, Winston. But honestly, I think Joe is just so far ahead of everybody else as far as the best since 2012. And I know I got a Joe Burrow t-shirt on with the Joe Burrow painting with 4 Joe Burrow bobbleheads and a Joe Burrow jersey behind me. Of course you're gonna pick Joe, a neutral observer would say. But I think Joe is so much better as far as an individual season is concerned than everybody else on this list. So yeah. Kyler over my nephew Bryce. I'm telling you, I wish I could find someone that hates something as much as Simper hates Bryce. I love it. I freaking love it. But yeah, Grant, that was a really good super chat. I think I'd have to go actually look at the individual numbers. That's just me going off the top of my head. But I do think statistically, if you did a blind test, you would be shocked at how good Kyler's season actually was. I know it was rather unforgettable because, he did win the Heisman the year after Baker won the Heisman, and they lost in a weird playoff game versus Alabama. I know Kyler's Heisman year was rather forgettable, if you will, but it was still very, very good. Statistically, there's only been 2 teams to average 8 yards per play versus Power 5 competition for a full year. And it's 2019 LSU and Kyler Murray's team that year. They were good. They were so dominant. Easy, if not more. Not more. Easy. I've always felt this way about CJ Stroud. Nothing is ever off platform with CJ. Nothing. Now, I'm not saying he can't improvise some, but it's like when you think of Heisman Trophy quarterbacks, like every single Heisman Trophy quarterback I just shared were improvisers. They could make plays that just weren't there. And also, most of those quarterbacks I just showed you were dual threat quarterbacks. And CJ Stroud is very statuesque, if you will. Okay. Mark Ingram was the. Yeah, Mark was a monster. So good. There you go. Thank you so much for the super chat there, Grant. So the next 5 minutes, I'll answer as many as I possibly can. If not, we'll see you guys Tuesday night. After Caleb Williams wins the Heisman next year, you could do the top winners list again, Carter. Well, Roger, unfortunately, Walker Howard will be winning the Heisman next year. So be ready for that. Kidding. I just wanted to say one quick thing to get people going nuts. Okay. Johnny was a dude, except when he played LSU. Definitely deserved that. And look, Marvin Harrison's son was really good this year. Okay. He can really play. I do think, though, name a more iconic wide receiver performance than Jalen Hyatt versus Alabama. Honestly, there really isn't any. Like Jamar versus Clemson, potentially. Obviously, Devonta Smith versus a lot of people. But, man, you're telling me that for the first time in however many years, Tennessee beats Alabama and one guy had 5 receiving touchdowns? Yeah, Jalen Hyatt. Dear freaking Lord. That was just a stupid game. Like, I've rewatched that game a gazillion times over. That was just stupid what that guy did in that game. 5 tutties in a rivalry game from one wide receiver. It's crazy. So yeah. Wrong. Harold Perkins will win the Heisman in 2023. I love it. So yeah, I think they got the Biletnikoff right. You know, if Harrison had won it, that would have been fine. But so there you go. See, Mitchell, starting 3 linebackers from LSU, pick any from the past 10 years. Yeah, I did this recently. I mean, obviously, Devin's got to be one of them. I think I'm just gonna say Harold Perkins. Like, if we're just gonna say like talent, I think Devin White Harold Perkins isn't like your traditional backer. I'm going to put him there. And over the last 10 years, so it's 2012 to now. So that's not it's not Kelvin Shepard. So he's out of it. God, last 10 years. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go with one that a lot of people aren't going to agree with, just because it's fun. Let's go. Lamine Barrow. How about that? Okay. Harold Perkins was invisible against Georgia. Man, it's crazy to be invisible when you led the team in tackles and forced a fumble. It wasn't Perk's best game. There were times where he was not great in that game. A&M game was way worse for him though than the Georgia game. So let's be fair here, okay? And look, I know I'm a Perk fanboy. You guys know I've been a Perk fanboy. I've been banging the drum for this kid, and look, he was a 5-star, but I've done so many Perk videos. I'm going to be very defensive over this guy, but yeah, the Georgia game wasn't his best, but he still led the team in tackles and forced a fumble. And the A&M game just wasn't good from him at all. But nobody on defense had a good game. But other than that, every game that this guy played in versus a Power 5 team, think about this, was either like an 8 out of 10 performance or a higher performance. Obviously, the Arkansas game was a 20 out of 10 performance. So yeah, I think the right answer here is Quan Alexander as the other linebacker. Who's your starting offensive line next year? Any freshmen? So obviously, I'm gonna be honest with you, Carvis. I like Tyree Adams and I like Zalance Hurd a lot, including Will Campbell in this. I had a higher grade on Emory Jones than any of the four. Obviously, Emory Jones and Will Campbell, though, were really, really good football players. So we know that they're good. I don't want to go into next year just assuming that a true freshman could play this extremely difficult position. Okay. Now, they weren't the only true freshman offensive linemen that were great this year. Kelvin Banks had a pretty good year for Texas. But, if Zalance Hurd gets the opportunity to start next year, I think he'll be fine enough to play in year one. And I think Zalance Hurd and Tyree Adams are really good football players. I think DJ Chester is someone that they look into playing next year. I know the staff really likes him at potentially one of the guard spots. I think Charles Turner is your center next year. I don't think they want to move on to Fitzgerald West or Marlon Martinez just yet. I think Charles Turner, for the most part, was fine this year. I think where LSU is going to do some soul searching are at both the guard positions, right? Miles Frazier had his moments where he was really good, and then Miles Frazier had some moments where, there were streaks of inconsistency, streaks of him, struggling to, maintain his balance, maintain his feet. He will get blown back into the quarterback, some during the course of this season. So I like Miles Frazier, but I do think they'll think about upgrading there. And then obviously Anthony Bradford has a choice to make. I do think, an NFL team would be interested in someone like Anthony Bradford, right? Size-wise, he is, your typical NFL guard. Is there someone else potentially that could fill in at one of those starting offensive line positions? Maybe. But I do think Emory Jones and Will Campbell will be your starting tackles. But if Zalance Hurd is who everyone thinks he is, and I think he is very good, you'll move him to right tackle and start Emory Jones at one of the guards. Now, the key thing here, Carvis, is building what is behind those guys. Obviously, the depth there is very important. So that's very, very, very important. All right, Simp. We'll see you, man. God, today was such a wild day in sports. Like you had, we don't talk about LSU basketball on here, but I do, when it's like 2 hours in. How about Justice Hill, right? He goes by Juice. That layup today to win the game. I love undersized everything. It could just be that I was a 5'7", 5'8" scrappy athlete that really had to scrap and claw to play. Juice Hill was a Arkansas commit, right? And Muss didn't want him a few years ago. So he transfers to Murray State, has a fantastic career there. And then Matt McMahon brings him here. He's had these injuries, and him and KJ Williams balled out for us today. So shout out to them. I'm going to be honest, I didn't watch a second of it, though. Like, I had it on in, like, the distance, but that England-France game today was so freaking captivating. Knowing those countries' histories, knowing Haley and I's connection to those countries from our trip earlier this year, those games were so freaking good today. The Morocco upset was crazy. The first ever African nation to go to a World Cup semifinal. That was so cool. The Pelicans game last night. We get a rematch versus the Suns tomorrow. I'm so happy Zion Williamson had that last final windmill dunk. I freaking love it. So there you go. Text it to me, Zach. Let me see it. Let's see. What else happened today? Oh yeah, Houston, Alabama. That was a great basketball game. What else? I feel like I'm missing a few. Oh yeah, what was kind of random today? I know some of you are like me, you just love all sports. There was the match today on TNT, right? It was, I don't remember who it was, but it was like Tiger Woods, Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, and somebody else. I don't know. Rory, I think, and they did a 2-on-2. I don't know who was all in it. Crazy day of sports. And then, of course, the granddaddy of them all, the Army-Navy game. The first time this game has gone over in 17 plus years. I still don't like overs that hit in overtime, unless, of course, I have the over. I think it should go by regulation, but still. Thank you, Mitchell, for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Good to see you again, my friend. And we'll see you, man. Just want to get Jordan PSA 10. You're a Real Madrid guy. Of course. Or we'll do it again. Next 5 minutes. We'll keep this thing going all night. But if we do super chat, we'll keep it going. Let's see here. Okay, I'll look at it real quick. Let me see. I don't have the text pulled up on my computer. Yeah, so Brazil lost. I'm not gonna lie, that was the one that really made me mad. I'm a Brazil fan because that was my adolescence. Oh, Zach, that is kind of nasty. Ew. DC Sports sold it. It's kind of nasty, bro. Let's go. Skipper, you're missing out on the best sport not named LSU football in the world. It honestly is. Like, I know soccer has its faults, but part of why I like soccer so much is because of something I experienced later in my life. And it's honestly, shaped the way that I view sports now is how they run their leagues. And we've gotten into this conversation late at night plenty of times. But once you realize how much better European professional leagues, because the World Cup is so different than how the actual sport is run, it gives you a high unlike anything else, man. I promise you, like, it's so much better. And you begin to understand the flawed logic behind playoff systems. And while college football needed a playoff and they need a postseason because of the structure of the sport, you then begin to wonder, wow, the NBA and MLB would be so much bigger if they didn't have these principles that they have now. So yeah, it truly, truly, truly is special. But yeah, if you don't like the sport, I can't, it's kind of like hockey. Hockey's not really my thing, but I did see, OTOP tweet this out that there was a Baton Rouge hockey game, which is kind of cool, right? Live hockey is great. It does live up. If you don't like the sport, fine, I don't like it. But if I could see it live, it's great. It honestly is really fun live for a few reasons. Number one, everything's moving so fast. So while there's not much scoring, the action does look really good, and you could see the puck better in person. And the second thing is just cool. Like, you see these 220-pound people flying at really high speeds on sharp blades on ice. Like, how often do you ever actually even see a hockey rink? It's really cool. Soccer's the most tactical game I've ever seen. True. And the one thing I'll say, like, as far as tactics are concerned, you could make the case that football is more tactical because every play has a structural design to it, right? Every defense, every offense has a play attached to it, right? Soccer's kind of like that. You have set pieces and you have certain formations. But what I'll say, Alex, about soccer, and I'm just coming from a place, I played all four sports growing up. And soccer is a sport where the IQ of the players, everybody's got to have a good IQ. Right? I think at basketball and football, you could get around a few players not having good football and basketball IQ. Soccer is so different. Like, you've got to have people that have basic understanding of pitch geometry, passing lanes, how the game should be played. There's a certain knowledge that you need to have to play it. And it's not really difficult, but you have to have it, right? Oh, yeah, the diving. I want to know the magic spray. I love it. I will say this. I thought when I hung up, the football cleats for the last time, one of my teammates was in the chat today, one of my football teammates. I thought when I hung up the football cleats for the last time that I would miss playing football more than I missed playing high school soccer. because I could still go play pickup games, and I've been able to play like on club teams and other stuff since then. It's been about equal how much I miss playing both. I still have really close friends on, all the teams that I played with, but I miss playing like actual soccer matches because of this, right? There's a certain level of autonomy that comes with playing soccer, and I was very fortunate. Where I played, our coach was so much better than the other coaches, so it did make it a little bit easier for me as a player. But uh, I miss that. I miss having to figure out, a match. And I was a center midfielder. It's my favorite position in all sports. I was slow, but yeah. It's gotten better. It has gotten better. Thank goodness Uruguay's not in the tournament anymore. Huh? Ah, man. So there you go. But yeah, I miss playing soccer so much. I really do. Like, God, I miss it. It's just there's a bond with your teammates that is very, very, very metaphysical. Well, all right. I think we're done here. You guys, thank you so much for a fun Saturday night live stream. It was kind of fun, not having a game. I didn't do a Saturday night live stream for the bye because we had some wedding stuff we had to do during the bye week. But this was my first Saturday night live stream that didn't have to do with the game. And it felt good just to, chill out, chillax. We'll see what BJ OJULARI decides to do. Yeah, hopefully, it's only been one reporter who said he believes BJ OJULARI is going pro. So we'll see. Okay? Don't forget. PowerHourLSU.com. There's a ton of different colors for all our shirts. Okay? And also, this is very, very, very important. Okay? Our SCC. You notice we are quite literally 105 subscribers away. Okay? 105 subscribers. Okay? I mean, Messi is just so freaking good, man. So freaking good. Oh, man. That pass, oh, God. It's one of the best passes we'll ever see in the sport. Surprised none of y'all brought up Bobby Petrino. All right. It is Power Hour LSU. Bam! And tonight, we are doing... Oh, y'all, I'm surprised this didn't get brought up till now. I had some Rotolos tonight. Chicken Florentine calzone. Let's go.